right? Yes. Namaste. Namaste, everybody. On behalf of JGI Toddlers Cambridge International Early Years Center, Banjara Hills, I welcome you to this webinar of special nutrition for terrific toddlers. I'm sure you all will be very interested to listen to our special guest, Miss Pooja Singhania. Toddlers Banjara Hills, I would say JGI Toddlers have taken an initiative to reach out to parents to conduct different kinds of workshops. In fact, we have started with community and campus where we already had 3 events. Let's I would like to introduce Miss Pooja. Before I invite her, I would like to speak a little bit about her. She is Miss Pooja R. Singhania. She is a PhD in Food, Science and Nutrition, RD, CDE, IYCF Counseling Specialist, and she is the founder of something very interesting. Before I say that, I would like to say, why nutrition? Well, for our children, nutrition is very important. If there is health, there is wealth, we all know. And the little children need the right food at the right time to grow and develop to their full potential. And the most critical time for good nutrition is during the first 1,000-day period, which starts from conception until child's second birthday. And you, Miss Pooja, who is the founder of Nourish 1,000 Days, which is exactly what nourishment is needed for the children, for the toddlers. So I would like to invite Miss Pooja.
Dr. Pooja, please unmute yourself.
Thank you so much for the warm introduction. I'm also very grateful to the management for giving me this platform, the opportunity to interact with wonderful parents of Jain toddlers. I would just like to put on record here that I have a deep connection with Hyderabad because I have lived there for a good 5 years. And so I'm very familiar with, Hyderabad as a city and the food habits over there. And of course, Mumbai is where I'm born and brought up. So I hope that the parents joining us from across, I would be able to make a connection with you because I have very fond memories of Hyderabad. Okay, so with that, yes, as Alkaji told you that first 1,000 days are such amazing and most important years, of a child's life. That's why our organization is Nourish 1,000 Days. So starting from conception till the child is 2 years of age. And I just would like to share here that I started this organization because I personally faced a lot of challenges in the 1,000-day nutrition of my child. So with a PhD in nutrition, I thought that definitely I know what has to be done through pregnancy. I know that I have to provide breast milk to my baby, and I know the right kind of food to be given. But then once my baby was born, I was in the US at that time, and I struggled with breastfeeding, and I found it very challenging, to continue breastfeeding. And I realized that actually this required a specific training. This required me to have a proper skill and knowledge in advance, so that I could do it well. And in fact, even for complementary feeding, what exactly, how, what, when, where, and why, the food had to be served was something that I learned then on the go. And then I did this infant and young child feeding counseling specialist course, so that I could ensure that I could support other mothers in their journey of 1000 days, and ensure that every child, like Alkaji said, the child should reach their maximum potential for physical as well as mental growth, right? So we are here to ensure that all of us become that right support system, for a child. Okay, so let us begin today. We are going to talk about special nutrients for terrific toddlers. In fact, because we do have parents of, the I think 4 to 5 age group also, you will also have a lot of things to gather from here. And we also have received your responses through the form you have filled, and there has been earnest effort to ensure that all your questions are being answered through the presentation. Okay, so let us begin. So firstly, I would like to talk a little bit about why we are speaking of nutrition being a key game changer here in a child's life. Okay, so when we think of physical growth, you can look at these 3 children here in the image. Okay, so all 3 of them are actually 3-year-old, but do they all appear to be the same? No, right? Here we see the first child who is looking as if they are a proper weight as well as good height as per age. But what about child 2? Child 2 appears to be uh, fairly good in height, but then a bit underweight, right? And then child 3 is appearing to be fairly okay in terms of weight, but then height is much lower than normal child. Yeah. So what could be the reason for this difference amongst the 3 children? So the first child would have received obviously good nutrition. Second child here seems to have uh, gotten some maybe suffering through a recent infection or something, because of which they have lost weight, and right now weight is on the lower side. Now for this child, I can still give them good nourishment and ensure they catch up weight somewhat. But what I'm worried about most is child 3, because a reduction in height or not being able to achieve a good height is an indication of a long-term poor nutrition intake. Okay, and then what makes it worse is that now at 3 years, if this child has not been able to achieve the height that he should have, this change or this restriction is irreversible. That means this limitation is going to be with this child for a lifetime. Even if we try to improve the nutrition now, we cannot reverse the damage that has been done. So that's why the 1000 days are so critical, that we have to ensure good nutrition, because the changes or the damage is irreversible. Okay. So this is with aspect of physical growth, but there is even a risk to mental health. So here you can see a brain scan. I'm sure all of us are aware of scans, right? So a brain scan of 2 children, both being 3-year-old. Again, when you see there's a difference in the brain, wherein a normal child has a larger brain and the malnourished child has a smaller brain. Also, the black spaces that you see, so the black cavity, like it's a cavity actually, which appears to be bigger in case of a malnourished child, and it is much smaller for a normal child. So, A bigger cavity means less of gray matter. Okay. So here you have the impact of nutrition on a child's brain, wherein their overall brain size as well as brain capacity, that means their IQ, is also restricted. And then, as I said, this restriction or limitation is irreversible. So you have this child who has received poor nutrition in the first 1000 days, but the impact is going to be seen into adulthood, which means that even if this child tries very hard to concentrate at school, if they try very hard to get a good job, if they try hard to even do something for the country, contribute in some way, their brain capacity is going to limit that effort. And that is a big hit on a resource for all of us, isn't it? So that is why these 1000 days are so important, and they are called the critical window of opportunity, where all of us have to make effort. So even if right now we are parents of 3+ children, let's not regret what would have happened in the past, but now today you are going to be more strengthened with the knowledge to ensure that the first 1000 days of everyone around you is protected and supported. So it's like creating a warm chain support for a mother and baby, because in this first 1000 days we are laying the foundation for a child's physical, mental, and emotional development. And let's make sure that each one of us is ensuring that. Okay. With that, let's go ahead. We are most concerned about this mental health, and especially in the first 1000 days or first 3 years also, because brain development in humans is most rapid in the first 3 years of life. Okay, so as you can see here, we are by 1 year already your child's brain is weighing 1,000 grams. And then by 2 years, they are achieving 80% of their total adult size of brain. And only very little is remaining for the coming few years, okay? So for this 80% brain development, all the effort has to be made at this time, okay? So when we are going to discuss the nutrients that are important for toddlers, we are going to keep a special focus on brain development or health of child's brain. Physical growth, of course, because that has to go hand in hand. And I'm going to discuss a bit about the immunity boosting nutrients, because a lot of us are concerned about immunity of our children, and also a good immunity will facilitate good physical and mental growth, right? So that's why we are going to discuss with respect to immunity as well. Okay. So I'm going to divide the nutrients into two categories, which has been actually developed by one of the experts, who mentions that there are two types of nutrients. One which are associated with specific tissues. Okay, now for example, as you see that calcium is associated with bone health. Okay, then we see iron. Iron we know is associated with blood. Okay. So these are very tissue specific nutrients, okay, which are functions related to specific tissues. Then there are type 2 nutrients, which are associated with all our structures and functions. So they have an impact on different tissues. For example, protein is associated with muscle, it is associated with immunity, it will be associated with good brain health, everything. Okay, and similarly, zinc is associated with immunity, nerve function. So there are these nutrients which are having an effect on overall effect on our body, and there are some which have effect on specific tissues and organs primarily. Okay, Now, out of these, we will not be able to cover all. So, we are going to talk or highlight upon a few which I have discussed here. Okay, so let's quickly begin first by understanding some of these nutrients, where they come from, what are the signs we see in our children, and then we will go further. So first, most important nutrient that I want to discuss is essential fatty acids, of which omega-3 fatty acids is most important, because we have just seen the impact of poor nutrition on brain health, and omega-3 fatty acid is one of the key nutrients which feeds our brain. Okay, so a child's brain is making greater than 1 million neural connections every second. Okay, so their needs for a good nutrition at this time is the highest, and a toddler's brain has up to twice as many synapses as it will have in adulthood. Okay, so it's a very rapid multiplication stage. So, how does omega-3 help? So it helps in increasing learning, increasing memory, improves attention, cognitive well-being is improved, blood flow to the brain is better. It lowers impulsivity in a child and it lowers hyperactivity. I'm sure a lot of us parents are worried, that the child does not sit in one place, they don't have enough attention span, they keep running around, they're not able to sit at one task, okay, or may not have good retention of what is being told to them. So it could be all associated with omega-3. Please note that I have given requirements everywhere, but that is just for your knowledge. We will be discussing how to meet these through foods, but you can have a brief understanding of how much a child needs in a day. Okay. So where do these omega-3 fatty acids come from? So when you hear the term fats, right, you have to think of all the foods that we have more of oils in them, right? So that means seeds. They are a source of oil. So seeds have oil. Nuts, they will contain oil. Your animal foods, because the animal is definitely storing fat. Okay, so the animal foods have fats, and also the healthy kinds, especially the seafood, is containing these healthy omega-3 fatty acids. Okay, then of course your vegetarian sources, which include nuts, seeds, and pulses, which are going to give a good omega-3 fatty acid. If you're looking at really ensuring a daily intake, then your focus must be on ensuring that a child eats enough seeds every day. Okay. Then let's come to the second nutrient, which is a type 2 nutrient again, which is zinc. Okay. So I'm sure as parents we see so many times a rejection of food, okay, or poor appetite in children. We tend to also see maybe the hair loss in children, or we see that a child is having loose motions, or they also tend to have frequent skin infections. In younger children, we see a lot of diaper rash and stuff, right? In older children, we may see that frequently they fall sick due to poor immunity, or they are having hair loss. So these are actually signs of zinc deficiency. But how often do we link it to zinc, right? I'm sure most of us link it to protein deficiency. Yeah. But zinc is also very important, and it has a role to play in all of this, including overall growth, physical as well as cognitive. So it has a role in insulin function, which means regulation of blood sugar, therefore the level of alertness or energy levels of a child. Protein and DNA synthesis means again having good muscle health as well as having enough energy. Bone and teeth mineralization, enzyme function. Okay, so all of these places, zinc plays an important role, and a child needs up to 3 milligrams per day, which sort of has to be consciously met through several foods, such as, So again, zinc mineral, when you think of it, you can think of a lot of these, meat, which is like liver, mutton, okay, or even eggs for that matter. Seafoods are a great source of zinc. If I have to think of vegetarian sources, mostly it has to be leafy greens. Okay, so minerals are there present in a lot of leafy foods. Okay, so zinc can be coming through your green leaf vegetables, pulses, and again, even nuts and seeds are great sources of zinc. Okay. So I'm sharing the pictures here, which are of significant sources. You can even take a look at them later on and absorb each of them clearly. Okay. Then we come to the other type 2 nutrient, which is protein. I'm sure all of us have heard a lot about it and are very conscious in ensuring that our children take a lot of protein. I'm going to quickly run through this because most of us would have some clue about protein. So we know there are animal sources and then there are plant sources. Animal sources of protein are very well absorbed by the body because they have the right combination of all essential amino acids. So your meat and animal products are all good sources. And then for the plant proteins, we get them primarily from your nuts, seeds, again, grains, pulses, or if you combine grain and pulses together, it completes the essential amino acid profile and then it makes it a good source of proteins for us, which is bioavailable, that is easily absorbed by the body. So vegetarians have to be very careful about keeping the right combinations so that they have a good intake of protein. But yes, I'm sure a lot of our parents today are from South, I mean like South Indian, we eat primarily South Indian food at home. So that is a wonderful combination of rice and dal usually. And so you are able to actually acquire a good amount of complete protein in your diet. Then we come to the type 1 nutrient. Amongst that, iron is one of the very, very essential nutrients. Okay, so when we spoke about brain health, iron again is also a very key nutrient for good cognitive function. Okay, and what I have shown here is a graph that indicates that the gap in iron requirement goes on increasing as the baby grows older. Okay, so in the initial first 6 months, mother's milk, that is breast milk, takes care of the iron needs, not because it is a great source, but it's basically that baby has acquired a lot of iron through the mother's blood, that is through the umbilical cord. Okay, so yes, breast milk is not a great source of iron, but baby has enough stores to tide through in the first 6 months. Now after that, iron from breast milk is very small quantities, but so the requirements are there and that gap goes on increasing. So that means that now this iron has to be provided from the diet. So appropriate complementary foods or foods which are rich in iron need to be given throughout childhood for ensuring that the functions of iron are taken care of. So often again we see children who may be rejecting food completely, who do not show any interest in food, or maybe are showing signs such as poor attention span or getting very easily distracted. Okay, so those are actually signs of iron deficiency. And it would also be seen by way of less social interactions or alertness, increased irritability, less interested in play. So basically, as we understand that iron is an important component of blood, right? And blood is what is supplying oxygen to all the organs in our body. Now, if there is not enough iron, means there's not enough oxygen in blood, and if oxygen is not reaching our organs, then we are likely to feel lethargic. We are likely to be duller than we are supposed to be, right? And that's one of the first common signs of being deficient in iron. If your child is not showing enough activity, or enough of interest in doing things, then that means that probably there's a deficiency which you need to work on. Yeah. And what I wanted to share in terms of cognition is also that in the first 5 years, ensuring good iron intake is very important, because if beyond that, if you try to repair it also, there is not so much improvement in IQ scores as much as it is when you work on ensuring a good hemoglobin status in the first 5 years of life. Okay, so that again is very important for us to remember. So where do we get our iron from? Yes, we do have animal sources and plant sources. Again, here with iron, what we need to remember is animal foods have the heme iron, and therefore it's well absorbed in the body, and you will see a good effect of that on hemoglobin status. But when it comes to plant sources, we do have millets and pulses and green leafy vegetables which give us enough iron, but this iron to go inside or get absorbed, it requires a friend like vitamin C. Yeah, so I'm sure we are aware that vitamin C rich foods help in iron absorption. So in plant foods, iron has to be accompanied by its friend vitamin C, so that there is a good absorption in the body. Okay. I just shared a link to the IIT Health Spoken tutorials here. Kindly take a note of this, and you will be able to see wonderful recipes of iron-rich foods. So that, because it's not in our purview to be able to do a demonstration over here or discuss recipes in details, but you can go on to the link, and it's a free YouTube channel where you can see recipes in your preferred language. Okay. Coming to a second very important type 1 nutrient, which is vitamin A. Now, vitamin A, again, when you think of it, you think of, all your red, green, orange vegetables and stuff. And since we are saying they have tissue-related function, they have most impact on skin as well as immunity. Okay. And when you see any deficiency of vitamin A, it's most likely to be manifested in terms of poor vision, increased risk of anemia, because it goes hand in hand with iron in its functioning, and would be associated with slow growth and development of babies. Again, when babies on mother's milk, there is a significant amount of vitamin A coming from mother's milk. But then as the child grows older, there's a gap created. So that gap needs to be filled with appropriate complementary foods. At this point, I would like to share that if you can see that even beyond 1 year, that is between 12 to 23 months, mother's milk is meeting almost 280 microgram requirement of vitamin A for a day. Okay, so there is a lot of value attached in breastfeeding even beyond 1 year or beyond 2 years as well. Okay, because at every time mother is providing the key nutrients that a child needs at that time for their specific functioning through her breast milk. Okay, it's a very customized food, very specific to that particular child's need, and therefore breastfeeding should be continued as much or as long as the mother and baby desire. There are misconceptions that after certain age, breast milk does not provide the kind of nutrition the baby needs, or it's just a way to soothe the baby but does not provide nutrition. That's not true. Even up until 5 years, if a baby is breastfed, child is breastfed, then they will be getting a lot of important key nutrients and a lot of immunity as well as emotional support through the mother's milk. Okay. So as the gap is created, we have to ensure vitamin A rich foods are included in the diet. Again, here, yes, luckily vegetarian sources are there. So many of them, all your or think red, think orange, think yellow, green. All of these are rich sources of vitamin A. Coming to iodine, another very important nutrient for a child, iodine. So its deficiency is associated with conditions such as goiter, because iodine is concentrated, it's important in synthesis of thyroid hormones. So you see associated symptoms of hypothyroidism, goiter, or impaired mental function or retarded physical development. Why? Because iodine, like I said, is required for synthesis of thyroid hormones. And then if thyroid hormones are sufficient, means your gland is functioning properly, and it's like a master gland. It has an impact on all our bodily functions. So whether it's heart, whether it's muscles, digestive system, regulation of body temperature, regulation of brain growth, bone growth, brain development, all of this is associated with good iodine status. Okay, so how do we get iodine? It's very, there is a lot of variation in iodine coming naturally from food because of the kind of soil where the food is grown. Okay, so some regions have soil which has enough iodine content, and therefore the vegetables grown there would contain sufficient iodine. But then there are again some areas where there is not enough iodine. So then a good way to ensure it on a regular basis is to have iodized salt. Again, there is a mixed view on taking the regular iodized table salt versus taking natural salt. Nevertheless, what you can ensure is you have a good intake of a variety of green leafy vegetables as well as pulses and fruits, so that you are able to acquire iodine even if in small amounts from these sources. Coming to calcium and vitamin D, again very important, and I'm sure a lot of parents are concerned about calcium status and vitamin D. So we did get questions related to ensuring good vitamin D status. Calcium also, because we feel that our children need to have good bone health. They have to be strong to run around, do their physical activities. So yes, calcium plays a role in bone development, teeth formation, in even regulating heart function. But while most of us think that calcium is coming only from milk and milk products, and a child needs to have milk to ensure good calcium status, that's really not the case. Okay, so calcium also is there in your seeds again, and some of your millets such as nachni, ragi. I'm sure all of us end up using ragi, and luckily South Indian diet means a lot of ragi would be present. So ragi, then rajgira. So I've given a picture of rajgira here, which is amaranth seeds. I'm sure you would have heard of it because it's a common fasting food. Till is one of the most richest source of calcium in nature. Okay, so it's not milk. Till is in fact richer than milk in terms of calcium content. Similarly, beetle leaves, that is your pan ka patta, is also an excellent source of calcium, and so are green vegetables and fish. Okay, vitamin D, yes, we know it all comes from sunshine. Calcium and vitamin D go hand in hand because vitamin D is required for absorption of calcium. So all the functions of calcium will be taken care of if vitamin D is maintained in normal levels. Also, vitamin D again is not just a vitamin. I must tell you that vitamin D actually acts as a hormone. So it has far-reaching effects on our immunity, on ensuring that we don't have any inflammatory diseases, we don't have metabolic diseases, because vitamin D has an important role as a hormone in the body. Okay. And studies are showing that almost 60% of our children are deficient in vitamin D. So I know that we struggle to ensure kids get enough sunlight during the day because they are usually indoors at that time. So one may have to consider supplements of vitamin D. And again, vegetarian sources are limited. So either it means getting more sunlight or it means taking it through supplements. Okay. And of course, vitamin D deficiency has very grave effects on a child's overall development, which might mean decreased muscle tone, increased risk of rickets, bored legs, which again, would be a sort of irreversible, impaired growth, impaired immunity. Okay, head sweating is one of the common symptoms you see early on in babies or toddlers, which would be indicative of vitamin D deficiency. Coming to folate and vitamin B12. So like calcium and vitamin D go together, folate and vitamin B12 also go hand in hand because both of them are associated with DNA synthesis. Okay, so formation of blood cells and the DNA material is associated or is dependent on good folate and vitamin B12 status. Also the healthy functioning of nervous system depends on folate and B12. So a child who's deficient is likely to again be very, very weak, may have very frequent joint pains, okay, or may even have difficulty remembering things. So these could be again common signs of having B12 deficiency. Where do you get it from? So folic acid, again, as the name suggests, folic, so foliage, you can think of all greens. Okay, so the greens are your good source of foliage. But with vitamin B12, again, it's a very tricky nutrient, especially for vegetarians, because actually vitamin B12 is not really just a nutrient, it's like a bacteria. Okay, so it is present in foods which have bacteria. So if you look at non-vegetarian food, they naturally become a good source because they are sort of having some bacterial activity. So they are good sources of vitamin B12. But then in vegetarian sources, one may have to rely on things like, yeast, nutritional yeast, or your fermented foods like curd, buttermilk, then kanjis that we prepare, which are fermented, or even your dosa batters, idli batters, which are fermented, they become good source of vitamin B12. So anything which has live bacteria in it is becoming a good source of vitamin B12. Okay. Coming to vitamin C, another type 1 nutrient, which as the name suggests, like all of us connect vitamin C with anything that's sour, right? So that definitely it is a good source and it has a role to play in good skin health, in immunity. I'm sure all of us have focused a lot of immunity on in the last few years, and so vitamin C should be consciously, included in a child's diet on a regular basis. So whether it comes in the form of eating a seasonal fruit like a guava or an amla or an orange or a sweet lime, or adding lemon juice to various foods, or adding, ensuring a child is eating a lemon pickle or an amla pickle with the meals so that they get enough vitamin C every day. Okay. Then quickly, I'll also discuss selenium because I'm sure not many of us have heard of this particular mineral, which is so important for a child's health. So selenium is involved in synthesis of selenoproteins, and its deficiency is seen again in form of compromised physical as well as mental growth. So effect on child's mood, leading to confusion, being there's muscle weakness associated, or even a typical syndrome which is called Cushing-Beck disease. It's not very commonly seen, but I'll share a picture of what it looks like. So this is a typical manifestation of selenium deficiency. And iron and selenium work together in ensuring good thyroid function. And we just discussed that thyroid is like a master gland. Okay, so that it needs to be functioning very well because it has an impact on all our organs. Therefore, selenium and iodine have to be sufficient in the body to make sure thyroid is working well. So it's involved in DNA synthesis, boosts immunity. It is involved in ensuring good muscle function, maintaining healthy thyroid gland, synthesis of sperms, production of testosterone. So here it has an effect on your reproductive system, and then it also helps to reduce the risk of heart diseases and cancers. So selenium rich foods, again, mineral, think of something similar to zinc only. So non-vegetarian foods would be meats, okay, and a lot of seafood, which are good sources. And then in vegetarian sources, you can think of a variety of pulses and seeds being good sources of selenium. Okay. In fact, even nuts such as Brazil nut, or even your seeds such as pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds that we can see here are good sources of selenium. Okay. Again, I'm sharing a link of the IIT Health Spoken tutorials. You can, go through this and go and look at the recipes which are rich in selenium and try preparing some new exciting, recipes for your children to ensure good selenium intake on a regular basis. Yeah. Now, we have covered these nutrients which are very important for a child, right? But I'm sure all of us are wondering here that how do we make sure that our child is eating all of these foods which are rich in these nutrients, okay? So we have a lot of responses from parents saying that child is not eating much or not eating vegetables, seems to be not eating as per their requirement. Okay, so let's discuss that now. But first, let us first understand what is the difference between hunger and appetite. Okay, so here I would like to give you an example. Now, as an adult, maybe you and I, if we have a presentation on a certain day, we may totally lose appetite. Okay, so maybe we are not feeling hungry at all because we have a presentation to give, so we are anxious, and that time we face what is called as loss of appetite because our focus is completely on another task, and therefore we have lost appetite, right? But as soon as the presentation is over and we have sort of done it well, we'll be so euphoric, and then we'll be like very, very hungry. Like you'll be super hungry then after that because you realize that, oh, I haven't eaten for a long time and now I really need to fuel up. Okay. So that is the difference in hunger and appetite. Appetite is something associated with your emotional state, and hunger is a very physiological state. Okay. But then we are able to suppress our hunger, but we are probably not able to regulate our appetite as well. Okay, because another example of having an appetite, or so you have just eaten a good meal, but then your friend has just got a special dessert, and they're saying that, oh, you must try this, it has these ingredients, and so you want to try it any which way. So you have an appetite for that dessert, even though you don't have hunger for it, right? So that's the difference in hunger and appetite. So now I'm going to discuss a few factors that are associated with good appetite in a child. Okay. And before we go to that, let us do a bit of visualization. I want all of you to just close your eyes for 10 seconds and think of what is your best meal experience. Okay. Just for 10 seconds, go back to your memory and think about what is a good meal experience for you. Okay. Like what are the things associated with a happy meal? Yeah. So I cannot ask you all to give me answers because I won't be able to see. But I'm sure when we think of good meal experiences, we often tend to think of maybe uh, as a child sitting with all your cousins and siblings and eating from a common plate at maybe your nanny house or at your grandparents' house, right? Um, no one knows how much is being eaten, right? Like food keeps coming, all of you are eating, no one is checking your portion, no one is checking how much time you took, no one has checked like what have you eaten. But then it's you have had a hearty meal, right? You eat to your heart's content, and then you don't even know whether you overate or you didn't get enough. Okay. So that is one of the memories we have of a good meal time with family, with siblings or with friends. Having a lot of joy associated with that meal. Another experience maybe some of us could have gone to is of a fine dining situation, right? Like um, maybe something like this, where it's a beautiful ambience, and there is a dinner table set with wonderful cutlery kept, and you are probably listening to some good music around you, and there's a lot of calm and quiet in the atmosphere. Um, again, we may also associate with a good service being given to us in a very, beautiful cutlery presented in a calm and peaceful way. Okay. There could be a colorful layout of things. Now, again, here you see this looks very enticing, to try, but there is a use of lot of vegetables and fruits here, but still it looks very appealing because of the way it is presented, right? And then, of course, a good meal experience is also something we associate with being peaceful, like not being hurried, that I have to finish in 15 minutes, I have to complete this and walk away, or, if I don't complete, somebody is going to get angry at me. So that's again, we associate a happy meal experience with a long, nice, slow eating, and with people around you, so that you can have some conversations in between. So that's again our notion of a good meal experience. Definitely it should be distraction free. So when you have good company at the table, you don't need a distraction. But then if you end up eating a meal alone, then you tend to need some form of distraction. Distraction free also for the child, like making sure that you are not engaged in something else and you are giving complete attention to the child, or you're engaging with the child as the child is eating food. Okay. So that is what is a good meal experience, even for a child. Independence is equal to messy for a child. Okay. So now, whatever you are serving to the child, no matter how they want to eat it, no matter how much time they want to take in eating the particular food, or no matter whether they are going to throw it, smash it, or smell it, whatever they're going to do with the food is their own experience with the food. Okay, and we have to be prepared for that experience. Which may be requiring a lot of cleanup from our end, right? So we had parents who shared that child is not eating independently. So there could be a negative association with eating independently, as in a child would have faced a time when they were eating very slowly and mother has hurried them, or they were ending up, smashing the food and then mother has stopped them. So all of that sort of restricts the baby from independent eating. So one has to make sure that that is promoted by allowing the child to eat the way they want to. Okay. Another thing that is important for ensuring that child eats is well planned, kind of meals. So planning ahead of time helps to, make sure that a child is going to eat what you're making. Because when you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail, right? So if you are not sorted in your head as to what you're going to make today and how you're going to make it, and you don't have the pre-preparation done in advance, then you're likely to put together things that even you're not satisfied with, and a child very easily senses that, and then it's likely that the appetite goes down. Okay, so plan for success by ensuring you have a good meal plan in place, which means you just have a good menu set for the week, or you may want to take the help of a nutritionist to ensure you have a healthy menu set so that you feel in control of meal times, and you know you're serving the best possible to your child. Also, very important to remember is that children are very big fans of rhythm. Okay, they enjoy rhythm. So it's like, you and I know that sun is going to rise every day. We know that there is going to be light in the daytime, there is going to be darkness in the nighttime. Nature has a rhythm, and it gives us a sense of security. Okay. Similarly, for a child, a good rhythm gives a sense of security. Predictability, knowing that this is going to come next, makes them feel empowered, makes them feel independent, okay, and secure. So rhythm in meal times is very important for child. That okay, yes, around 12 I'm going to get lunch, around 5 I'm going to get a snack. So they know this rhythm is repeating. I know I'm going to sleep at this time, I know I'm going to wake up at this time. If that rhythm is making on a regular basis, you're definitely going to have a child who's going to be more compliant or more ready to, accept food during meal times. See, sometimes when you're traveling or you have to attend a wedding or something, and you realize that, oh, I did not carry anything for the 7 p.m. meal time. So then you are up for some, trouble, because this child is very hungry at that time. Either they'll end up grazing at that time, fussing at that time, and then later on when you try to feed meals, then it's a challenge. Okay. So children are fans of rhythm as well as repetition. So again, repeat means almost the same thing, that the same thing keeps coming to them. So then it gives them a sense of familiarity, and then they are able to connect with it better. So repetition also means that if the child has rejected a certain food once, twice, thrice, you still have to offer that food again and again. And research shows that you have to at least offer a food 20 times before you declare that my child is not eating this food at all. Okay, so we realize that sometimes, we have served spinach to the child, and the child says, no, I can't eat this. And then next time you're very scared that I'm not going to make spinach because she's going to surely reject it. But no, we have to keep serving it again and again. In fact, food which is rejected has to be served multiple times, and everyone in the family has to eat it lovingly for the child to think, yes, that this is my regular food and I also need to start eating it. And one day suddenly you will see that change, because repetition is very important for a child. If you have given something once and a child has rejected, you stop giving, then it's a definite chance that this child will not eat those foods again. But if you keep exposing them again and again, they will develop. Okay. Now, these were mostly the things which are related to appetite. Okay, as we said, because appetite is a very emotional thing. So we spoke about the how of the food meal times. Okay, like, is it peaceful? Is it colorful? Is it exciting? Is it well planned? Is it rhythmical? Is it repetitive for me? So all of these will affect appetite. But then Now if you have ensured all of this, again, trust me, parents, we have to be very creative to make sure this appetite is invited. Okay, so like you would want to try something if you are in this ambience where something exciting comes to you and is presented with some either some good in cut in a certain way, or given an introduction to the food in a certain way, or maybe even referred by someone in a certain way. So that's when you would be excited about a food and you build an appetite for the food. But then if I, uh, but rather if it's something that's very routine and every day you eat that, you're not likely to be excited about it. So we have to be very creative in serving foods and bringing on the appetite of the child. Now, if you have done all of this and it's still not working for you, then we need to address the hunger issues. And hunger would be again suppressed by certain factors. So now when we talk about hunger, we can look at causes of poor hunger due to excessive intake of milk. Okay, so yes, some of us end up giving too much milk to the child throughout the day, considering that okay, then at least they should drink milk twice a day or thrice a day, so that if they don't end up eating food, it's okay, they will at least meet their nutrient requirements. But that's not the case. Milk is extremely filling and it takes a very long time to get digested, and therefore a child may not have appetite for other. So we can't blame the child who is being given too much milk if they are not having appetite for this, hunger for rest of the food. Okay, so about if we had to give some guidelines, then see, as long as babies on mother's milk, ideally they don't need outside milk at all. So yes, till 2 years, if baby is breastfeeding on demand, then they don't need animal milk and separately. Okay, they may end up taking animal milk products occasionally, such as paneer or dahi, for some vitamin B12 benefits, but they don't need milk separately. And beyond 2 years also, a child needs just about maybe 150 to 300 ml milk in a day. That is also not compulsory. If a child is not liking it, we don't have to force. We can continue to encourage child to have some of the milk products like dahi or buttermilk or even paneer for that. Okay. Another cause for poor hunger in the child could be not enough, physical activity. So it's like this, right? That if I spend a complete day sitting in one place, I'm not likely to feel as hungry. I may not end up having the regular 3 meals that I do, but rather if I've had a very active day where the entire day I've been running around, and maybe going to eat twice as much as what I eat on a regular basis. Okay, so hunger again is dependent on output, energy output, then input will be required. If there's not enough output, then more input will not be required, right? Third thing for rejection or poor hunger could be giving too much portion at one time, okay, or basically overestimating the requirements of a child. So children eat in small quantities, and trust me, you have to let them decide their portion sizes because they know exactly how much their body needs. And if they choose their portion and eat as per that, they will have a long-term good association with their hunger and satiety signals. Okay. So after we are done, the brain sends a satiety signal, right? That yes, we are full now. So if you let them choose their portion sizes, they are likely to have good satiety, understanding of society as an adult also. Otherwise, because we decide from childhood that this is the portion my child should eat at a given time, as an adult they end up eating that big portions only, and because they have not respected their society signals, now it's sort of lost for good. And then even if we want to regulate our hunger or bring down our portion sizes, it becomes very difficult because there's a programming that has already happened that this is a proper portion size. Okay, and Unfortunately, even right now, the way the food is coming to us, processed food, already the portion sizes are exaggerated. Okay, already you have the jumbo vada pav, you have the jumbo burgers, you have extra large pizzas, because those are the things that people feel they want to program you to start eating big. Okay, so that's something again we have to be conscious about, that allow the child to eat their small portions. Okay. Next could be a very common problem with younger children is teething, or basically any kind of milestone they are trying to achieve. So like I said, right, like there is an effect of that anxiousness or excitement on our appetite. So any physiological changes taking place in the body also, like learning to walk, learning to talk, getting teeth, all of these can also upset our hunger. Okay, so but that's very transitional. That's not a permanent thing. It's only for us for some time that this change exists. Okay. Another thing that sort of disturbs hunger is also giving multiple choices to the child. Okay, so avoid doing that. Make sure there are choices in terms of the healthy options of textures that you provide to a child, but then don't do this that okay, if a child is not eating this, okay, we have another option for this child. If they say no for this, then we have another new option. So let's not do that. Whatever is cooked for the family is also served to the child. Whatever portion of that they eat is enough. That's it. And you may at next meal time offer them two choices. Okay, choose between these two so that I know what you want to eat. And that's it. We don't have to give them multiple choices. So if all is not working, we have what are the appetite increasing foods. Okay. So I would like to credit the Malti Dhankar Trust, which works on creating these important resources to be shared with children, parents of young children. So we have what are called as appetite boosting foods, which includes fish, dried fish, eggs, your amla, colocasia leaves, that is the ardi leaves, palak, your till, your seeds, sunflower, flaxseed, your ragi, beans, as well as sprouts and vitamin C rich foods. Okay, so these are all good appetite boosting. So if you have to put them into buckets, you would say vitamin C rich foods, vitamin B12, which we spoke about, foods which are microorganisms. Then you are seeing a lot of zinc rich foods here, okay, so that they can boost appetite. So there are nuts and seeds being included. Pulses, which are again very good source of protein, zinc, as well as selenium. So all of these are appetite boosting foods which you can include in your child's diet. Okay, so parents who are struggling to ensure that a child starts eating well, at least eats basic minimum meals in a day, then you can look at including more of nuts, seeds, fresh fruits, and vegetables in the diet. Okay. Now, coming to a very interesting part, which is healthy snacks. I hope we have enough time. Yes, this portion is most important because a lot of parents have asked us about snack options, and I've really tried to bring out some of the uncommon foods and see how we are going to incorporate them as snacks. I would like to share here that we are looking at snacks coming from vegetables itself, okay, because that's a food group that all of you are concerned about. So I have made sure that this snack is coming from fruit, vegetable, or nut. Okay, so like I said, when you will see all of the nutrients that are critical for a child's brain growth as well as physical growth and for immunity, you will see a lot of vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, and pulses featuring. So let's take a look at how we incorporate them in more interesting ways. Okay, so let's start with the fruits. Okay, so fruits are the fruits which are considered to be the most important part of a child's diet. Okay, so fruits are the fruits which are So when you think of banana, okay, we often end up giving the child banana as banana, okay. But there are other ways to incorporate banana into a child's diet. So if you look at raw banana can be made into a powder, okay. So you slice the raw banana, you sun dry it, and then you powder it to make a raw banana powder. One can make a raw banana fry, chips out of it, sort of a Korean out of it, cook it in coconut gravy, or make cutlets out of it. Okay. So, like I said, you have to be creative in serving food to a toddler or a child, basically because they cannot eat banana just as banana every time or all days like you and I do. Okay, so we have to engage them by giving the same food in a different way. Okay, now if I were to ask you, how can you make use coconut in different ways? Okay, so yes, most of us think of, okay, let's do coconut chutney. Okay, let's see if we can make coconut burfi. Okay, but then, so how often do you give coconut slices to your child as a snack? It is an excellent snack, right? And I'm sure we use a lot of coconut in our daily cooking, right? In our South Indian diet. But how often do we end up giving just coconut slices as snack to our children? So coconut slices, making a chicky out of it by using a lot of dry foods as well as jaggery, then using coconut milk as a base for curries, cooking up a coconut rice, making appams using coconut, or even making puddings using coconut. So there are multiple ways in which we can make use of this humble coconut other than just making a chutney out of it. Okay. Similarly, green peas. So for that matter, peas again, like I think a lot of children give peas a timeout. That's what my son used to do. He used to give timeout to peas and carrots. So they used to be out of the plate. So green peas again, like, they can be incorporated in various ways. So a child who does not eat raw peas may end up eating steamed green peas, or if you make a cutlet out of it, or if you use it to make a dip, or a pasta sauce, a green pasta sauce, which can be called a pesto sauce, but then it has green peas and broccoli added to it. Or you use it, you use green peas as a stuffing for a sandwich or a paratha. And or else you just give it as a roasted snack, like, that's what is a good healthy snack for a child is make sure that green peas are roasted or baked to the level where they become crunchy. And that's what you can, give them as a snack option with some masala on it. What about beetroot? I'm sure a lot of parents struggle to give beetroot to their child. Okay. Now, I remember my son used to study in a school in Hyderabad where they used to serve beetroot paratha for breakfast, and he happily ate it. Yeah. So, beetroot again can be used in various ways to make a a red sauce for a pasta, to make cutlets, to make a hummus, or even make chips out of the beetroot. So there are children who like crunchy texture. So you convert a vegetable into a crunchy form, they're happy. There are children who like softer textures. So you change it into a dip or a smooth something, they like it. So we have to keep innovating with the same food in various ways. So it's like once the child has rejected the chips, then okay, let's try beetroot in the form of a cutlet. But you have to expose the child again and again to that same vegetable in various ways. Also, what helps is engaging the child in the process of making it, or talking about what you did to make it. Okay. Some other healthy snack options are any vegetable chips that you can do at home, means using any of the vegetables and toasting them, so whether it be sweet potatoes, pumpkins, anything. Dates or any of these dried fruits which are coated either in chocolate or they are coated with other dry fruits or stuffed with dry fruits and served to the child. So these are great options. I don't know of any child who does not enjoy roasted fox nuts. So those are again great snack options. Good and chana, that means your roasted chickpeas as well as jaggery. So these given together is an excellent snack, and I think most children would absolutely love and enjoy it as a snack. Masala peanuts, so giving any kind of flavor to your regular peanuts and just giving them in the snack is good. Your nuts and seeds are great snack option. We just need to see how you make them in an innovative way. So it might mean that the snack box has just a few pieces of cashew and raisins. That is also enough. They can just break open the cashew, stuff a raisin in between and eat it like a sandwich. Or even grinding all the nuts and seeds together along with date or anjeer and binding them into a laddu or a granola bar is also a great snack option for children. Okay, so that's with snacks. And what I want to again reinforce is that snacks should always be the missing food groups which you have not given so far. So out of that first food group that should come as snack is fruits. Okay, so always remember the best snack for any child is fruit. Okay, second best snack is using a vegetable in a different way, because again that's a category we miss out on. So using the vegetable in a different way, and when we are using a vegetable, we can make sure we are adding the nuts and seeds, which is the third important food group in terms of snack. So if you are using a vegetable and you want to make it crunchy, you may add some nuts to it. If you are making even a sauce out of, say, the green peas or the beetroot, you can add some till to it, or you can add some cashew to it to give it a nice rich texture. Similarly, almonds can be used, to make a chutney, maybe using pumpkin, or even tomato chutney can be made with sesame seeds or peanuts. And I'm sure a lot of our traditional recipes do include some or the other nut or seed, because our ancestors knew there's value in addition. That tadka of sesame seed on our chutney is very important to ensure you're getting more minerals from that meal, from that chutney. So take the opportunity to include these things. So your snacks are fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Always. Please do not depend on any processed food. Nothing bought from store is ever going to be able to meet these nutrient requirements of it. Okay. So very quickly, yes, if you want to add nutrients to a child's diet, when you want to add calories, it's not in the form of sugar, butter, or biscuits. It's in the form of coconut, ghee, all your seeds and nuts. Okay. So healthy fats should be the way to get good calories. When you want to add proteins in your child's diet, it could be eggs, it could be chicken, it could be your nuts and seeds again. If you want to add micronutrients so that your child has enough of these type 1 nutrients coming in, then it would be in the form of seeds again, green leafy vegetables, as well as fruits and vegetables. Okay. So with that, we come to the end of this presentation. Thank you for listening attentively. And now we can be open for questions.
Thank you, Ms. Pooja. It was really an enriching and valuable information. I'm sure all the parents have learned a lot, and especially the recipes you've given were really interesting, and all the questions asked by the parents have been answered. I hope so. And if anything is left, we will definitely get in touch with you to, ask you. One question from our side, actually. What about chocolates? A lot of children have eat chocolates and the parents give them chocolates. So how much of eating chocolate is advisable, and is dark chocolate good for the children?
Right. Very good question there. So, see, firstly, I always speak about the association you're making with the food for the child. Okay. So, firstly, association is important in the sense that you don't consider chocolate as a reward and vegetable as a punishment. Okay.
True.
Never give that association to any child. And it's unfortunate that when a child wins a race, he's given a chocolate. When a child does something good, they are given chocolates. When it is a celebration, a child is given chocolates, right? Oh, it's a festival, it's Rakhi, you get me chocolates this time. No, that association is wrong. Why is chocolate associated with a reward? It has nothing good to offer to a child. So why is it a reward? So you are rewarding the child with something that's unhealthy. Why don't we say, okay, yes, if you win the race, I'll give you a banana, okay? Or else it's festive time and you get to eat lots of mangoes at this time, okay? Or if I have to gift you something, I'll gift you, a box full of berries, okay? So we don't do that, and that's why I think the problem is with us. It's with us adults. The association we are, making with chocolate is wrong. We are considering it as a reward. If you finish your meal, you'll get a chocolate. That's wrong. Is the meal a punishment? And that's why chocolate is a reward? No. So that's where I think that's one most important thing that we all need to learn as adults. And then chocolate will become common. So then you keep the you don't give any expression to chocolate and you say, eat it with your broccoli or eat it with the meal which you're having. It's in your plate. You eat it with the meal as in when you like it, but it's also a part of your meal. So it is not something separate. Okay. So yes, okay, you're having some sugar with the meal. Fine. You instead of having anything else, sweet, you have taken that as a sweet. But the fact that we get too excited about it, oh, it's not good for you, I'm not going to give it to you, that's a problem. And then I'm going to give it to you as a reward, that is a problem. Okay. So treat chocolate as a food. It's not a very good food. Of course, origins of chocolate, as we all know, is a cacao plant. So it's a plant. But the way we are processing it is the problem. Yeah. So yes, dark chocolate would have done us good, just like coffee does in its native form, or tea leaves would do in its native form. So we have processed it to its wrong thing. But I feel that more important it is to create the right association around that.
Thank you so much. I think this is something for all of us to take it forward. I think as a child, all of us were rewarded with chocolates, and you very rightly said, why can't we reward with apples or bananas or coconuts or berries, even nuts?
Yes.
And one thing about your session, which really touched me, was repetition and rhythm, because it's very important to, even when we live our life, it's through rhythm, through
Yeah.
repetition in our daily life as an adult also. So I don't know why we forget for a child. Why don't we do that for a child? So, and even in education also, when we teach a child also, rhythm and repetition is the most important, at least for toddlers. So thank you. Actually, it is an eye opener for me too, though I have big children. But I think it's good to know always. And really, really thankful and grateful for the session. So I would say thank you, parents, for taking out the time on a Saturday evening, on a festive day, which is Ganesh Chaturthi. Uh, Very grateful for all of you. I hope it was nourishing and informative for all of you. And I would really thank the JGI management for letting us have this webinar. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Santosh, for helping with the technicalities. And it was an honor to have you, Miss Pooja. I would like to end the session by just saying one sentence. Investing in early childhood nutrition is a surefire strategy. The returns are incredibly high. Thank you on that note. Namaste.